just going to check it on here. Actually, let me put my pods in because I feel like the sound is better if I do that. Okay. Okay. Great. All right. All right. All right. I don't see it on here yet. Okay. And I think I have the volume down on on my laptop because sometimes I'll be forgetting to turn it down. But okay, we are live again. I know I missed last week, but I was so busy. And I missed Friday, and then I was trying to make it up on Saturday, but it just did not happen. I did not get around to it. So I kind of missed it. So um yes, so thank you for watching. Before we start, I just want to say that I appreciate everyone who has subscribed to this channel, everyone, all my new subscribers, and of course, all of my subscribers from the very beginning. You know, we just hit 1,000 subscribers on this channel, so I'm so excited. But now I'm trying to get those watch hours up. so, um, so that's where these lives come in, and I kind of like the live interaction with doing the live. So that's been really fun too. So I definitely did miss it last week, but I did not want to miss it this week. And I thought about doing it for tomorrow, but we actually have another church event. That's what happened. Last week we had a church event on Saturday, and this week we do too. So I definitely have to do it today. But I'm excited because it is breastfeeding month for those of you who don't know. And I am a doula, I'm a mom of four, and I'm exclusively breastfeeding my fourth child, but I breastfed all of my children. And yeah, I'm really passionate about breastfeeding. It's one of the things that we talk to moms about a lot while we are prenatally while they're pregnant. And then, of course, after they deliver the babies, we're with them in the delivery room and, a few hours postpartum to really help them get that first latch and, help them through those first few months of breastfeeding, which can be a little bit tricky, especially if it's your first time breastfeeding. So I'm super passionate about breastfeeding. I love breastfeeding. And so we're celebrating all month long. But before we begin on our topic, I have a couple of things I want to go over. I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget. And if my voice sounds funny, it's because I think my kids got me sick. So yeah, I think I'm getting a little bit sick, but we're gonna press on anyhow. So I just want to give a shout out to my sister Tiana, Tiana Hicks. She has a YouTube channel also, and hers is mostly on her microlap journey, but she also sings really, really, really well. She is so humble about it, but she is like one of the best singers I've ever heard. So she sings, she sews. Hey, Dad, how are you? So glad you could make it to the live. Um, what else does she do on there? Oh, she's a school teacher, an elementary school teacher. So, she's about to start. I'm not sure what year this is for her, but she's about to start her school year again. So she does have some teaching tips and stuff like that on her channel. She really helps me a lot because I'm homeschooling. So she helps me a lot with what my kids should be learning and how to teach them certain things like sounds and stuff. So she's just been really instrumental with that. And yeah, she's really a jack of all trades. She really can do like it all. And she's also a licensed cosmetologist. So yes, I just wanted to shout her out because she always shouts me out in her lives. And sometimes I'm like, I forget to say it. We are blood sisters, but I forget to say it. Her channel is featured on mine, but I just want to shout her out specifically in this live. And she always supports my videos and all that. So I just wanted to give her that time. The next thing is the giveaway. The giveaway is still open. We only I've only had one winner so far, and she has already received her painting. Esther, if you're watching, I hope you received it. And so yeah, I still have those two questions left over. I'm not sure exactly what they are. If I remember, I'll include them in this video. But if you want to know what the giveaway questions are, you can watch my previous live where I went over two questions that I asked to my viewers. And if you answer those questions correctly, you win a painting. I also showed the paintings during that live, so you can check that out if you would like a free painting by a very special artist. And the next thing, oh, I just want to remind you to like and comment and subscribe. I know I have a lot of silent subscribers, and that's okay because I was a silent subscriber for years. Like I just really didn't even understand why you like or why you comment or whatever. And I watch people that that were I was interested in their content, but I just never really interacted with it. But on YouTube, it's, a whole algorithm. So if you like certain things, then you get shown more of those things, and they'll push it out to the people who really need it or the people who also have the same interests. So if you like these videos, if you like breastfeeding, motherhood, pregnancy, childbirth, all of that stuff, like these videos, and of course, subscribe if you're not already. Um, and comment also. I try to reply to all my comments. I think I do in a timely fashion. So definitely leave some comments because I like to talk to other moms or, potential parents out there and just get you guys feedback on certain things. Um, so yes, like I said, this is I think it's National Bless National Breastfeeding Month, but it's next week is really special because next week is going to be Black Breastfeeding Week. So the 20, what is it? The 24th? No, the 25th through the 31st. So the whole last week of August is Black Breastfeeding Month, and that's really special and important to me because out of all of our peers, Black women are the least likely to breastfeed. So I just really want to get those numbers up. And that's really one of the main goals of my channel is to spread the correct breastfeeding information because there's so much information out there about breastfeeding, but a lot of it is not correct or is given by the wrong sources or the wrong people. And so yes, I'm just here to support moms on their breastfeeding journeys and specifically, other moms of color like me because we need to be seen, we need to be represented. And the last thing is if you're not already following me on Facebook and Instagram, you can definitely check me out on there. On Facebook, I am Tashima McRae, and on Instagram, Shades of Sage TM. So shades underscore of underscore sage underscore TM. I do have the links in all the description boxes of my video. If you need like a direct link, is there. But yeah, we're having fun over there. And for this whole month, I've been trying to post like um, breastfeeding information on my Facebook page. So I just try to put out new facts that people may not know about breastfeeding, which kind of leads me to the topic for this video is one of my recent posts was saying that breastfeeding saves families about $2,000 to $4,000 a year if you breastfeed. So, instead of buying formula, you're breastfeeding and that saves you money, of course. But for this video, I want to talk about, but is breastfeeding really free? And so I wrote down some things that I felt like were good topics to talk about it because, like I said, I'm a fourth-time mom and I exclusively breastfed all my children. So I've been breastfeeding for like the last 6 years or so. So I feel like I have a good working knowledge of it. And we're gonna go over the cost of breastfeeding. Okay, so of course we know breastfeeding is free if you're talking about money. So it doesn't really cost anything for a woman's body to make breast milk. That's just something that women's bodies do when their baby is actually while you're pregnant in your second trimester. You will start to produce colostrum, and that is sufficient for your baby's first few days of life. And then your mature milk will start to come in around like day 3, day 5. It really depends on like how you gave birth and that kind of thing. It really depends on oh, hello, how are you? I think I have a comment that you wrote that I haven't responded back to yet. But I did see it. So hi, nice to see you here on the live. Thank you for joining. um so mature milk comes in a few days after birth, but basically a woman's body starts producing milk or gets the signal to produce milk when her placenta detaches from the uterus. So it doesn't matter. I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but if you have a C-section, if you have a vaginal birth, either way, your placenta will be um, is part of the birth. So that does come out of you once you give birth, and then you will start. That will kick your body into, yes, I have to produce milk for this baby, for this child, right? So, like I said, I love breastfeeding. It is great. It's one of the. I feel like it's very special because I know that it's something that only I can do for my baby, and I just love the bond and all of that stuff. Like I said, check me out on Facebook because I write a whole bunch of things about like the benefits of breastfeeding. And just really trying to encourage moms to breastfeed or encourage my moms who are already breastfeeding to, continue, or hey, this is cool about breastfeeding, or keep it up, you're doing great, that kind of thing. But let's dive into the cost of breastfeeding that has nothing to do with money. All right. So the first one I want to talk about is energy. And this one could probably go a little bit in with like sleep deprivation. It does take a lot of energy to breastfeed, and not just like it takes a lot of physical energy to breastfeed. So when you're breastfeeding a baby, especially exclusively in a fresh, especially in those first like 6 months or so, when that is their main food source, you're burning about like 500 to 600 calories a day. And I did put on there that that's equivalent to walking about 6 to 7 miles a day. So in a 24-hour period. And that is a lot. That is a lot of energy. Um, it is physically draining, I would say. Um, and it kind of goes in with sleep deprivation. So if you're breastfeeding, especially a newborn who's eating at least every 2 hours. It could be more frequently, especially if they're cluster feeding or having like a growth spurt. They're eating like around the clock in that 24-hour period. So at least 8 to 12 times a day, but it could be more, for you and your baby. And so you may be losing a lot of sleep, or you probably are losing a lot of sleep as a breastfeeding mom. And so, yes, it takes a lot of energy. So I always say, like, I know this one is a little controversial, the sleep when the baby sleeps thing. I kind of live by that. Like I probably couldn't get through my days, or I don't get through my days as well on the days where I don't nap. And of course that's because I'm feeding a baby night and day. So when he's eating, I'm up, feeding him. So whenever I can get in that extra rest or that extra sleep, I can. Of course, it's a little bit more tricky now because my oldest, she is being homeschooled and she doesn't take naps anymore. My younger two do. So I'll have her do her homeschooling while I try to get a quick nap with the baby. But it's just nonstop, especially in that first 6 months. Like I said, where breast milk or milk in general is their main form of nutrition. So you just got to be up and around the clock. So it is a lot that way. The next one I want to talk about is mental health. Now, this one could go one or two ways. So, especially for my moms who are dealing with like postpartum anxiety and postpartum depression, sometimes breastfeeding can help, but then if you're having like trouble with supply, or if your baby is colicky, or um, you're having some other kind of issues, like maybe your baby has an allergy to something, but you can't figure out, just yet in your diet what it could be, then you're having like some mental health issues on top of that. So you had the breastfeeding, of course, and then of course, after you have your baby, most moms experience, some form of baby blues, and then so you have that, and you have um, it's just a mental aspect of it, of kind of knowing, like all your baby's feedings are, dependent on you. It's a big job. It's a big role, and it can weigh on you mentally. I know for me, like I said, I exclusively breastfeed, so I don't use bottles or anything like that. Hey, Yana, I shouted you out in the beginning. I don't know if you heard or if you saw, um, but thank you for all of your support. Thank you so much. What was I saying? Breastfeeding. Oh yeah, so for me, because I do exclusively breastfeed, all the feedings are on me. And so I don't pump. And so I just try basically that whole time to, basically that whole first year to be, around my baby 24/7, which is a lot. Oh, okay, that's okay. You can watch it when you replay it back, you can watch it. I shouted you out real good. um, oh hey mom. Oh, y'all must be together, huh? Y'all always together on my lives, on the nights that I do my lives. But hey guys. So um yeah, so it can be a lot just knowing that like if you're not around, like sometimes I go out. Oh, thank you, girl. Yeah, I try to braid out And I didn't like it at first, but I like it as the days go on. So I might try it again. But thank you. Um, and so I just always try to make it back before the baby gets hungry. Like if I'm going somewhere, I'll feed the baby before I leave. And then I also breastfeed exclusively on my first and second. Yeah, so you can understand what I'm saying. I'm gonna run down the list, and if you want to chime in, if I miss something, definitely feel free to chime in because it's a lot. Um, but yeah, I just basically try to be readily available and around at all times, and I hate when like it doesn't happen often because I kind of like you feel like your baby's like feeding windows of when they will be hungry and all that. So, but sometimes I'm out longer or get stuck in traffic or whatever, and they're calling me like the baby needs to eat, and if they're not at that age where they're eating real food yet, like solids, then you're like, oh my gosh, I gotta get back. Or your breast will definitely tell you too when your baby's ready to eat because sometimes they're just like really full or really heavy and start leaking. And you're like, I know my baby's hungry, but the baby's not around. And so yeah, that can weigh on you mentally also as well. So um, it definitely affects your mental health. Yes, it is. It can be so stressful sometimes. And sometimes um, when the baby is like screaming, so say I'm like with my other kids doing things that I need to do with them, and then he starts screaming, then I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know if all moms experience this, but I can't tolerate my babies crying. Like, I just can't. It just does something to me, especially if I know they're crying because they're hungry. It's just like drop everything, stop and feed the baby. And so yeah, that can weigh on you mentally. Um, and like I said, even if things are going really well, like I've had really good breastfeeding journeys, so not really too many issues. Like the most I've had was like thrush with my first, and we were kind of passing it back and forth to each other, so that was a little stressful. But other than that, they've been really like easy going. So even if you're having an easy, breastfeeding journey, you still can have some of that mental stress that comes with breastfeeding. And the next one's a big one, physical health. So there's two parts of this one too. So with physical health, you can have maybe, I want to say for breastfeeding, you kind of like you want to be in good health to breastfeed, because everything you eat is going to be going, to nourish your baby, and you want your breast milk to be, high quality. You want it to have all the fats and all the nutrients it needs. Now, when you're breastfeeding, whatever you eat, your body's going to prioritize for the baby. So you kind of just want to make sure, oh, excuse me, that everything that you're ingesting is as good as it can be. And I'm not saying you got to be like, like a high raw vegan or anything like that, but you want to be in good health so that you can give the best, in your breast milk to your baby. And of course, there may be certain situations where mom is not in good health or mom is on certain medications and she can't breastfeed. Um, so yeah, there's definitely those situations like that. And I was reading about one mom who was saying, I guess she was saying that she didn't like she breastfed, but she didn't have enough maybe calories or she didn't have as much access to nutritious food. And she was saying that as her kids got older, she could see like, um like they were having teeth issues and bone issues and things like that. So you definitely want to make sure that you, as the breastfeeding mom, are um, in good health as much as you can be. And also that if you've, let me read it on this one. If you've been overweight forever, would it still be a huge concern when considering breastfeeding? No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't say no. I wouldn't worry about that because um, being overweight is not. It's not gonna. It's not really gonna it's not going to stop you from being able to produce milk or anything like that. You just got to make sure that you're taking in enough calories for you and for the baby. Um, and I know they do say that, like being overweight could add complications to, your like your birth and things like that. But as far as I know, like I mean, I'm technically overweight. And I have been, I think, on my breastfeeding, journey. So it hasn't affected anything for me, and I don't think it's a big issue. Um, and you do need a lot of calories. You do need a lot of calories to sustain a good, healthy breast milk supply. So I would say, if you are overweight during pregnancy and during breastfeeding, um, Like me personally, like that's really not the time to try to lose weight. Some women will lose weight, and I did talk about this in a video I recently did, just because your body is extending all those extra calories and creating and making the breast milk. Um, but if you're overweight, I mean, you can just feed your baby. And then you can worry about that afterwards. And that shouldn't be a problem in like you producing or anything like that. Um, yeah, that should be fine. And I would say though, but for moms who are underweight, or maybe for women who just maybe don't eat as regularly or don't feel the urge to eat as regularly, or they eat small portions, I would encourage them to eat more, because like I said, your body is going to take for the baby first. So if you're not giving your body the nutrients that it needs, as far as like the healthy things that you need, it's going to take from your stores. And then by the time you're done breastfeeding, or by the time years even could go by, and you'll see that your health will decline. So I just encourage all moms, any weight, any size, to make sure that you're eating as healthy as you can, but make sure you're getting in those extra calories so that you will have those nutrients for your breastfeeding. Um, what else about physical health? Um, I definitely think that, yeah, so talking about nutrients, you do want kind of a safety blanket. And, and I am guilty of this. I have not been taking my postnatal vitamins. And I think it's recommended that you continue to take them as long as you're breastfeeding. I'm so guilty. I haven't been taking them. Cod ducks, mastitis. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's definitely, yes. So those are like issues within the breastfeeding, umbrella. But yeah, you can have, and mastitis is like, I've never experienced it personally, but mastitis can kill you. Like, you know what I mean? So it's serious. It is serious. Certain things with breastfeeding. And thrush is uncomfortable. Um, but certain, yeah, like certain issues that you may run into with breastfeeding need to be troubleshooted, and some of them kind of right away, because it can affect your health, going forward. When breastfeeding, the moms need to drink more water than normal. Also, definitely, definitely. I have been this last week or so. I've been real busy, which is no excuse. I know I need to be drinking my water. Actually, let me get let me get some right now because it's probably one of the reasons why I'm sick too. But yeah, so again, with the physical health, it just takes so much from you. It takes from your bones, it takes from your calcium, it takes from, you know, um, your fat stores. It takes so much, and hydration, yes, is key. So you definitely want to be making sure that you're drinking as much as you can, because breast milk is, it's fat and it's carbs and protein and all of that, but it's a high amount of water. So again, if you're not, the baby's going to get its needs first. And if you're not taking in all the water you need, then the baby's pulling that out from the breast milk and is going to your baby, and they're happy and healthy, but now you're dehydrated. And I definitely am dehydrated right now. Um, so yes, you definitely need to be drinking water, and also if you're dehydrated, it can affect your breast milk supply. So drink, 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 drink. You want to drink, as much water as you can. Um, oh no, he doesn't wake up. He's a little sick too. Um, because that would definitely help you with your breastfeeding. And what were we talking? Oh, mastitis and clawed ducts. Yeah, it can be real uncomfortable. And there's ways for you to help with those things, but it's just best to try not to even like what's the word? Not to even like get those certain things. And a lot of it has to do with making sure that your breasts are emptied and emptied properly in a timely fashion, because yeah, those things can happen. Thrush can happen, mastitis can happen, clawed ducts can happen. Um, what else? What else is something else that's caused by breastfeeding? But yeah, it's a lot. um, oh, so the next one we wanted to talk about is time. And this is a big one because, you know, I think for breastfeeding, for a lot of things, for motherhood actually, we just don't we're not compensated for the time and the effort that we put in. A lot of times people are just focused on monetary things, like what can you bring monetarily, or what are you chipping in monetarily. Like a lot of times people just focus on that, but moms do it all, you know what I mean? Like if you're a stay-at-home mom, you're the chef, you're the chauffeur, you're the teacher, you're um the babysitter, you know what I mean? There's so many things. You're the maid, you're doing all this stuff. And if we were to break it down, you know, we are making a killing out here as far as earnings, but it's not monetary. And our time is valuable. So, yes, breastfeeding takes a lot of time. Nursing sessions could be 30 minutes long, they could be 45 minutes long, just depending on your baby and, what stage they're going through, during your breastfeeding journey. And sometimes it can be short. Like as they get a little bit older, they're more efficient at getting milk out their breast. So the sessions could be like 5 minutes and they're completely full and got all that they needed. But in the beginning, especially, it could be a little bit longer as you're learning how to latch, you're learning what position, you feel comfortable breastfeeding in and what position the baby feels comfortable in. Um, yeah, it can take a lot of time, and it does take a lot of time, especially if you're again, like I said, exclusively breastfeeding because you have to be around pretty much all the time. So, you're on the clock 24 hours. I tell people all the time, I work 24 hours, 7 days a week. And I mean that. Even when I'm sleeping, I'm doing something, I'm making milk. So, it takes a lot of time and our time is valuable. So we got to put a price on that. And that's just one of those things that's like priceless. You really can't, but just know that that's a part of, the breastfeeding journey. So it's not free in that sense. You will spend a lot of time breastfeeding and um oh, so the next one, we're talking about pumping slash supply. So the supplies that you would need, if you are a pumping mom. So of course you get your pump, that costs some money. Now, if it's covered by insurance, then it'll be free to you. But then now you need bottles, you need things to clean those bottles with, whether you put them in a dishwasher or not. And then you also need the bags to freeze your things in, or if you're using, the freezable. I think they're back when I was pumping, there was like freezable, um, kind of like 4-ounce bottles that I could put in the freezer. So I did have to pump when my first was in the NICU. Um, and so yeah, again, going back to the other one I was talking about time. If you're a pumping mom, you're spending even more time, especially if you're an exclusively pumping mom, because now you are pumping, and that takes some time, and the pump's not as effective as getting milk at the breast as the baby latching. So that may take a little bit more time, and you also have to store your milk, which takes time. You have to label it, you have to date it, store it properly, so that takes time. Um, and then you also have to clean and sanitize, and that definitely takes time. I hated it. I hated it so much, and that's probably one of the reasons why I didn't pump with the rest of my kids because it was it was a big sacrifice on my part, but I just knew that I wanted my baby to have breast milk. So she was born really early. Um, and she wasn't like able to take feedings by mouth yet, so they had me pumping around the clock. I remember my mom was like, pump every 2 hours you're pumping, and drinking water right before I pumped. And that was so instrumental for me because if nothing else, that taught me to you got to feed your baby regularly if you want a really good breast milk supply. And so every 2 hours I set my alarm on my phone. Of course, when I was there, I was pumping using their pump at the hospital, which was excellent. Like it just took milk out so fast. And the pump that I got from my insurance that I had at home wasn't as good. So I'd be like, I can't wait to get to the hospital to pump. And then when she was able to take feedings by mouth, we did it by mouth there in the NICU. But I had all of this pumped milk and I was just like on it. Every 2 hours I was pumping, but it was a lot of work, just labeling everything, putting it in the freezer. And of course you want to put things in first in, first out. So you want to make sure that you keep a track on your dates, and making sure that what you pumped first is getting used first, and then thawing out milk for a baby to eat later on, or freezing milk, or if it's not thawed out yet, but you really need this milk right now. Definitely a lot of time. And so my hats go off to the moms who are like pumping moms and moms who are exclusively pumping because it is a lot of work and they spend a lot of time doing it. So definitely commendable. Um so the next thing was nutrition and food, and I think I already talked about this one enough, but just making sure that Your food is nutritious as much as possible, because I'm not gonna sit here and lie to y'all. Like, I get my snacks and my sweets. I told y'all my baby has me. It's so bad. It's so bad because I'm not really a sweets person. Like, I love chocolate, that's my favorite, but I'm not really a sweets person. But breastfeeding, my sweets cravings are off the chains. Like, how much can one expect to pump on average? Like, how many ounces? So I think anywhere between like 2 to 4 ounces is good. Um, that's really about as much as they need within like a 2 hour period, I would say. It really depends on how much your body is producing, how much the baby is taking out. But I don't no more than 4 ounces for a while, for at least that first 6 months. Because I know sometimes people think for pumping moms or even formula feeding moms, they'll think that their baby is hungry, and that they need to go up, like in sizes. But you don't want to give your baby too much. I love my painting too, by the way. Thank you. I'm so glad you loved it. I meant to text you or, kind of connect with you to make sure that you got it, but I'm glad you got it. I'm glad you love it. I can't wait to give away these next two. Um, but yeah, you don't want to with bottle feeding, it's a little bit easier to overfeed your baby. When your baby's at breast, they're not going to overeat, so you don't have to worry about, I can only feed my baby every 3 hours. I remember them saying that to me when I left the NICU, and I just felt wrong when they said it. And I was like, why would I make my baby wait if my baby is showing signs to be, hungry right now? Like, they had her on a 3 hour schedule when I wasn't there, but I was there pretty much like 24/7. Like, I would go home just to sleep really and shower and then come right back. Um, but yeah, if you're feeding on demand, you really can't, like, I mean, there's ways for you to measure how much the baby is getting, but like, you're bottle feeding no more than 4 ounces at a time. Yes. And you do want to do paced bottle feeding. I will try to do a video on that because that is important, especially if you're one of those moms who does still want to breastfeed your baby from the breast, and or you may have other caregivers feeding your baby while you're not around. You want to make sure that they're pace bottle feeding the baby the breast milk, so that you can continue to breastfeed, from the breast when you're around, because they may prefer one over the other. Um, Oh, and yeah, nutrition. So just making sure that you're eating healthy. And sometimes I feel like probably like 70/30. 70% of the time I'm eating healthy, 30% it's really just sweet. But it makes for sweet breast milk, so maybe that's why I crave it so much, but it's crazy. Um, and space. I wrote that down, but I actually don't remember where I was going with that one. Maybe, maybe the space that supplies, well, the space that you need. Oh, no, 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 I know what I was talking about. Your physical space, so like your personal space. um yeah, I did a video on this too about feeling touched out because, like I said, I've been pregnant and breastfeeding for like 6 years, and the longest break I had was between Kenzo and his baby. I got pregnant, what, 18 months postpartum from him, so I had a little bit of break in there, um but yeah, your physical space, just having a baby, pretty much attached to you all day after 9 months of carrying that same baby is a lot. And that's for as long as you plan on breastfeeding. But I plan on doing it at least 1 year, but I may do two this time. Um, so I'm trying to mentally prepare for that, but I don't know. I am really touched out. I'm really like, I just want my own space. I want my own bed back to myself. I just want I just want him to be his own separate person. But when you're breastfeeding, it's really not that way. Like, they control your body. They control your body still pretty much. Like, even as far as like my, I don't, not temperature, but like how I feel. Like, I'm always hot. Like, when I was pregnant, I was always hot. And I thought, maybe it's just because it's summertime, but nope. I was hot in the winter, in the summer, the spring, the fall, just always hot. And I don't remember it always being hot, like as a child or a teenager. So true. I was tired too after my third. I started 22. 22 months. You better go ahead, mama. That's excellent. Um, And yeah, I totally understand, but 22 months is great. The longest I breastfed was my first, and I think we did 16 months. And I was pregnant with my second, and I just really wanted a break from breastfeeding before he was born. So I stopped breastfeeding her, what, May, June, July, August, September? No, it must have been July then. Yeah. So she was a year and a half, almost a year and a half when I stopped because I was like, I'm gonna give me a 2 month break in between here before I know I had to breastfeed this next baby. So yeah, she was the longest, and I'm kind of like, I think both two different ways. I'm like, maybe I should stop at one because I stopped at one with all the other boys, and then I'm like, it wouldn't be fair if I did that. But then again, I'm like, but if I had the time and I'm still, able to breastfeed him, then I should. But then again, um, if you saw my last video where I talked about like not being able, and this is a vain thing, I know. Um, Wow, that's a lot. Yeah, that was. It really was. And at the time, it was like, you know, my baby, I wasn't ready to start breastfeeding. Like, I think I was 11 months postpartum. And I had planned, well, it was my plan originally to breastfeed for 2 years. I hope he stays asleep. I'm gonna have to wrap this up soon. To breastfeed for 2 years. It's sometimes he cries in his sleep, so I'm trying to see if this is one of those times or not. Let's see if I give y'all the full cry. Okay, I'm gonna grab him. I'll be right back. 1 second. Hey, sir. Okay, okay, okay. Come on, Poopa. Okay. Okay, it's okay. It's okay. Did you want to be a part of the video? Hmm. All right, let's see. He's not a happy camper. He's a little sick too. Are you okay? Let's see if he goes back to sleep. But yeah, what was I saying? I was breastfeeding Saya. Oh yeah, it was my plan to go 2 years with her. Um, but that just did not work out. How do you make sure you produce enough milk for two or more babies at a time? Are you talking about twins, Esther, or do you mean like being pregnant and breastfeeding at the same time? Um, because I don't have experience with twins, thank God. I'm not one of those people that want twins. I'm like, no, Lord, don't bless me like that. My mom had twins, and that was enough watching her do that. But yeah, but for so if you are talking about twins or triplets or whatever, breastfeeding is mainly like 99.9% supply and demand. Like however much you tell your breast to make, and however often you're putting your baby to breast. Look, he's so miserable. Look at him. Ayani said hi. Okay. That's how much your body will make. Twins was cool. Yeah, it was cool for me watching and hoping, but as a mom, like I cannot even imagine. Like even when I think about it, I'm like, I don't know how you did it. I don't know. Yes, twins and that one too, pregnant and trying to breastfeed. Um, the pregnancy, so actually that pregnancy with Matthias was like my healthiest pregnancy, and it wasn't hard to breastfeed. I know some women say that they experience like their milk either drying up or certain things with their milk, and so they decide not to breastfeed and be pregnant. It actually was recommended that I stop breastfeeding while I was pregnant because my first pregnancy was high risk, and my second pregnancy wasn't technically high risk, but they still had me on like watch, so they treated me as a high risk pregnancy. And I remember. Um, at like my first prenatal appointment, I let her know I was still breastfeeding. And she was like, "Oh no, you gotta stop. You gotta stop that immediately because, um, the baby needs all the nutrients, and your breast milk is taken from that, and you don't want to go into preterm labor." Like she just kind of like just came out of nowhere with this information that I never heard about before. I never looked it up or even thought to look it up. I just knew that I was pregnant and I was breastfeeding and I was gonna stop when I was ready, and that's what happened. And he was healthy. He was my biggest baby, my first VBAC. So I was so happy about that, and things went fine. Um, so yeah, it was recommended that I didn't breastfeed though because I was technically considered a high risk pregnancy, but everything went great. Um, yeah, I know. Mama T said that first month was rough, but once I figured out I could nurse them at the same time, then I was good. See, that's good. Yeah. And that's why I included in my Facebook post the football hold because you can get both of those babies on there at once. But me, oh no, I would not want to do that. You okay? Oh, cover your mouth. Oh, bless you. No, I'm back up. He's gonna be distracted by the light. um, but yeah, but I will say though, yes, you because breastfeeding itself takes a lot of calories and nutrients, and being pregnant takes calories and nutrients. If you are pregnant and breastfeeding, you got to make sure you're eating enough for you, your baby you're nursing, and the baby that's in your tummy. So yeah, and it is. Bless you. Oh no, and it is a lot on the body. So I do understand why she said I do understand why she recommended I stop. And some women that maybe have a history of preterm labor. So I didn't really have a history of preterm labor. I just delivered early because of my preeclampsia. But yeah, I probably would stand by the recommendation to, not breastfeed and be pregnant at the same time because it's a lot on your body. Because both of those things themselves are a lot on your body, but you combine them, then yeah, it's even more. Wait, can I wipe your nose a little more? All right. So yeah, I hope that answered that question, Esther. Let me see. Was there another part of that? Oh yeah, and then so with feeding twins or anything more than one, it's definitely supply and demand. So as long as you're telling and signaling to your body to produce milk, it will produce exactly how much the babies need, no matter how many babies it may be. Um, oh, and that brings me to my last point, which is feeding for two. So yes, yes. Don't play with me, Asa. You know I'm trying to do this video. You're welcome, Esther. Thank you for the question because I hadn't thought to, mention that, but it goes in perfectly with my last thing, which is when you are breastfeeding, you're really feeding for two. Now I know sometimes, I mean, they throw it around like when you're pregnant, you're eating for two. Um, and that's a little less true than when you're breastfeeding. When you're breastfeeding, you're definitely eating for two. And like back to that 500 calories. So even, oh goodness, even in your third trimester of pregnancy, you only really need about an additional extra 300 calories, 3 to 500. Just really depending on your like pre-pregnancy weight and all that kind of stuff. But breastfeeding alone burns at least that in a day, and it could be higher for you. Just based on your metabolism and all of that stuff. He's like, you're not gonna talk about breastfeeding and not feed me. Don't be mad. Let me turn him around, distract him a little bit. Okay, okay, you all right? Now he's gonna play with all my stuff. He likes the water bottle. That's been his favorite thing. He gets to eat on Tuesday, you guys, and I know he's so excited. He's been telling me he's excited. So it'll be 6 months, right? I'm a stickler for the rules. So, most doctors say not until 6 months, and so that's what we do. But then he can eat some food. What was I saying? Oh, feeding for two. So feeding for two, eating for two. Like you have to make sure that you're getting enough for your body and your baby. You have to make sure that you got those extra calories for your breast milk because that's one of the biggest pitfalls. Are women aren't eating enough to sustain that breast milk supply. And again, also with the water, you just gotta make sure you have it all. Thank you, Esther. He wanted to be a part of this so bad. I think I've done like the last 2 videos without him, and he just had to make his appearance tonight. Didn't you? Didn't you? Go on and talk then. He's so silly. Um. So yeah, you got to make sure that you're eating those calories. And I'm not really a calorie counter. It's just really not my thing. Like I don't have time for it, and I don't really think that it's that it's not that like for me mentally, it's not that healthy for me because there was a point where I was counting calories and just trying to stay within a certain limit, and it was not healthy for me. So I really try not to do that. I just try to follow my eating cues. If I feel hungry, I eat, but if I don't overeat. Most times I don't overeat. If I'm full, I'm full. I'm pretty good at like stopping when I'm full. Um, but yeah, you're definitely eating for two. So you got to make sure that you're getting in those extra calories because again, the baby's going to take what they need. That's whether you're pregnant or breastfeeding. The baby's going to get the first of everything. Um, and so you don't want to be feeling, shriveling up and not being able to function because you're not getting enough nutrients for yourself. Um, and so I think that's everything that I wanted to talk about for tonight. And back to the space thing, yeah. I'm just I don't want to say over it because I do enjoy breastfeeding. I love breastfeeding, but I cannot wait to have my body back to myself. Oh, that was the thing I mentioned that the yeah, my body don't let me lose weight when I'm breastfeeding. Like I can lose like maybe 5 pounds at the most and gain it right back. And it's probably just water weight. Like it's probably I'm dehydrated that day or something like that. It does not play. And so that's another thing that your body will prioritize everything for the baby or um for your breast milk supply. And so that's just one of my body's ways of protecting it. I can't I can't even if I try to like have a day where I'm not eating as much or as bad, my body will make it up in other ways. It'll make it up the next day or it's usually the next day. um Thank you for the live. I'd love to talk to you about your expertise with okay, preeclampsia. If you're open to that. Yes, I definitely am. I've been meaning to do a video about it. I've not got around to it because I definitely want to talk about that because before I had it, I hadn't heard about it. I didn't know what to expect, and it was just such a scary part of my life. And then for it being my first pregnancy, I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And it was just like everything that could go wrong did go wrong. For that. But yeah, I think that's all I want to talk about tonight. I thank you all for watching. Um, like I said, don't forget to check me out on Facebook and Instagram because I like to post a lot of things, some personal pictures and stuff like that, milestones with the kids on there. And don't forget the giveaway because I really want to give away these last two paintings and the Black Breastfeeding Week, which is next week next Thursday, I want to say. Next Thursday. I feel like that's right. And that whole last week of August. So, that's the other thing. I want to go live. I'm trying to make it so that I can go live every single day of that week. So, if you have breastfeeding topics that you want to discuss, so that I have, at least 7 topics, I'm going to write them down. So, you can leave that here on the chat, or you can leave it in the comment box below, or just however you want to get it to me. Some topics that we can go over so we can have fun that week. Just celebrating. This is actually the 10th annual year of Black Breastfeeding Week, and I was so honored to meet the lady that started it, and I didn't know it at the time. Someone had asked me, who started Black Breastfeeding Week, and I think the person that asked me was being smart. So I had to look it up just so I have my facts straight. And I met that woman a few weeks ago or last month when we did a doula conference, and that was just so exciting. So I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's that lady!" And she's following me on Instagram, so it's just really, really cool. She has cool stuff on there. I'll try to include her information if you're not familiar with her. But yeah, I think that's all for tonight. He's definitely hungry, so I'm gonna feed him. He's eating nonsense on my desk. Thank you all for joining. And don't forget to give me some topic ideas so we can chat all next week. Never knew it was a thing. Yeah, yep, it is. And I didn't know either. Like I know about breastfeeding month, or, breastfeeding awareness and all that, but I didn't know that specifically Black Breastfeeding Week was a thing. So I'm definitely gonna be celebrating it from here on out. Um, so yes, thank you so much for watching everyone, and I will see you in my next video or live. Bye and good night.